Code Violet on Level 7. The human female initiated physical contact with restraint personnel. Azila's crystalline hands froze over her datapad as the station-wide alert echoed through the Galactic Youth Integration Academy's administrative wing. Code Violet. Physical altercation. In 300 cycles of operation across 47 member species, the Academy had never issued a Code Violet. She was already running before her rational mind caught up with her instincts. The corridor to Level 7 stretched before her, emergency lighting bathing everything in crimson. Other staff members pressed themselves against the walls as she passed, their confusion palpable. A Threxian administrator called after her, "What does Code Violet even mean?" Azila didn't answer. She was too busy accessing the security feed through her neural implant, and what she saw made her stumble mid-stride. The footage was time-stamped at 2.3 seconds. That was all. From the moment Chief Vex'thul's hand contacted the human girl's shoulder to implement standard gentle restraint protocol, to the moment he was on the floor with blue blood streaming from his nasal structure, only 2.3 seconds had elapsed. The human, Emma Johnson, age 16, Earth's first exchange student, hadn't even looked angry. The movement had been fluid, reflexive, almost casual. Elbow back, body pivot, follow-through. Vex'thul, a decorated security officer who'd served in 3 peacekeeping operations, had gone down like a training dummy. By the time Azila reached the containment area, the entire administrative council was already assembling in the observation room. Through the reinforced transparent barrier, Emma stood in the center of a Level 4 containment field, the kind usually reserved for potentially violent criminals awaiting tribunal. The human teenager looked confused. "What's happening?" Emma called out, her voice muffled by the field. "Why am I in here? I didn't even do anything." Director Zelax turned from the viewing screen, his usually calm demeanor shattered. "She claims she didn't do anything. Kael'thas reports that Vex'thul has a compound fracture of his primary nasal structure, displaced cartilage, and severe hemorrhaging. He may require reconstructive surgery." According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, "It was an accident!" Emma shouted. She was pacing now, that predator restlessness that all Deathworlders exhibited when confined. "He grabbed me from behind. What was I supposed to do?" Azila felt her core temperature drop. "From behind?" "Standard restraint protocol," Zelax said, pulling up the tactical report. Vex'thul was implementing a care escort after Emma was observed engaging in aggressive posturing in the recreational commons. He approached from her non-dominant side, placed his hand on her shoulder with exactly 0.3 newtons of pressure, well within safe parameters for even fragile species, and verbally informed her of the escort requirement. Aggressive posturing? Azila accessed Emma's file with growing dread. She was observed bending her spine backwards at an extreme angle while extending her upper limbs above her cranium, another council member reported. Clear threat display behavior. Vex'thul responded appropriately according to all established protocols. "She was stretching," Azila whispered, horror crawling up her spine. "Humans stretch. It's a normal physiological function after periods of inactivity." The silence in the observation room was absolute. On the security footage playing on loop, Emma's elbow strike was a blur. Vex'thul hadn't even had time to register pain before he was falling. "Director," Kael'thas's voice crackled through the comm system. "Vex'thul is stable but requesting to file formal charges. He's saying the human female committed unprovoked assault on Academy personnel. This would be the first violence in Academy history." Zelax's scales rippled with distress. "The Galactic Education Board will be notified within the hour. The Earth Integration Program—" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. 3 years of diplomatic negotiations. Humanity's first official participation in Galactic Youth Exchange. Thousands of species watching to see if Deathworlders could integrate peacefully. All of it potentially ending because a security officer used standard restraint protocol on a species no one truly understood. Emma pressed against the containment field. her face flushed with that alarming red coloration humans displayed under stress. "Can someone please explain what's going on? He grabbed me without warning." "On Earth, that's how you get decked." "Decked?" Zilax repeated. Azila closed her eyes. "Hit. Struck. She's saying that on her world. Unexpected physical contact from behind is considered threatening." Threatening? It was a gentle escort. He barely touched her. "And she barely hit him," Azila countered, her voice hollow. She was reading Emma's medical file now, the sections she'd skimmed as routine suddenly taking on horrifying new context. High-gravity adaptation, persistence, predator, biology, reflexive threat response system optimized for survival in hostile environment. She looked up at the council, at the 24 species representatives who'd congratulated themselves on their enlightened integration programs. "We never accounted for Deathworlder defensive reflexes," she said quietly. "We assumed because humans can control their strength, they can control their instincts." Through the containment field, Emma Johnson, a 16-year-old honor student who liked drawing and wanted to study xenobiology, stared at them with growing fear in her eyes. "Am I going to jail?" she asked, her voice very small. "I really didn't mean to hurt him that bad. He grabbed me. You don't grab people. That's like basic stuff." The station's emergency protocols hummed in the background. Somewhere in medical, Vex'thul was being treated for injuries inflicted in 2.3 seconds by a child who thought she was demonstrating restraint. And in the observation room, every member of the Galactic Education Council realized simultaneously that they'd made a catastrophic error in judgment. They'd invited humanity to join galactic civilization, but no one had asked humanity how they survived long enough to reach the stars. Medical Bay 3 had become an impromptu crisis center. Kael'thas worked methodically on Vex'thul's face while the emergency council crowded around the observation screens, reviewing every interaction Emma Johnson had experienced since arriving at the academy 2 weeks prior. "Compound fracture of the anterior nasal structure," Kael'thas reported, his 6 fingers delicately realigning bone fragments. "Displaced cartilage analog, severe hemorrhaging, and significant soft tissue trauma. The impact force was..." He paused, recalculating. "Approximately 40% of what I estimate the human female is capable of generating at full power." 40%? Zilax's voice cracked. "That was a restrained strike?" He grabbed my shoulder. Emma's voice played through the recording system again. Azila had been reviewing the incident frame by frame. "From behind, while I was walking." "What did he think would happen?" Azila pulled up Emma's intake file, the sections she'd approved without proper consideration now glowing accusingly on her screen. "High-gravity world, 1.2G standard, persistence predator classification, binocular forward-facing vision optimized for tracking prey, reflexive threat response system developed over millions of years in hostile megafauna environment." "We knew all this," another council member protested. "The humans passed every psychological evaluation. She scored in the 97th percentile for peaceful conflict resolution." "On paper," Azila said quietly. "In controlled, front-facing, verbally announced scenarios." She looked at the security footage again. Vex'thul's approach from behind, Emma's instant pivot. The whole thing was over before conscious thought could intervene. "We never tested surprise contact from behind." "Because it's standard care protocol." Zilax was pacing now, his scales shifting through stress patterns. 47 species, 300 cycles, never once has gentle restraint resulted in violence. A medical assistant entered, hovering nervously. "Sirs, madams, the human female is requesting to speak with someone. She keeps saying she wants to apologize." They brought Emma to a conference room. No restraints this time, though 2 security officers flanked the door at a carefully calculated distance. She looked small in the chair designed for larger species, her legs swinging slightly above the floor. "Okay, so," Emma started, and Azila noticed her hands were shaking slightly. I genuinely didn't mean to hurt him that bad. Is he okay? Do you guys have good doctors? He'll recover, Kael'thas said carefully, though he may require reconstructive surgery. Emma's face went pale. That disturbing, color-draining humans did under distress. Oh, God, I'm so sorry, but She laughed, a nervous, bewildered sound. He grabbed my arm from behind. That's like basic self-defense? Don't they teach you not to grab people here? The council members exchanged looks. Emma, Azila said gently, restraint protocol is standard care across 47 member species. When someone is observed displaying aggressive behavior, gentle physical guidance to a counseling area is considered appropriate, caring intervention. Aggressive behavior? I was stretching, Emma's voice rose. You know, the thing you do when you've been sitting too long, arms up, back bent, maybe crack your spine a little? The spinal cracking sound was noted in the report as particularly threatening, Zilax said weakly. Emma stared at him. Then she laughed again, longer this time, with an edge of hysteria. You've got to be kidding me. That's just what joints do. We're like full of gas bubbles or whatever, and they pop when... She stopped, looking at their faces. You guys really don't know anything about humans, do you? We studied the provided materials extensively, Zilax protested. Yeah, well, on Earth, that's how you get decked. Emma leaned back, crossing her arms. Ask stupid questions, win stupid prizes. You don't grab people from behind. Period. That's like kindergarten stuff. Stranger danger. Personal space. Consent. Consent? Azila's translator struggled with the term. Permission? Agreement? Emma tried. Look, if you want someone to go somewhere, you use your words like a grown-up. Emma, please come with me. See? Easy. No grabbing required. Azila pulled up another file, her dread mounting. Emma, 2 days ago you were reported for threat display behavior in the cafeteria. The report describes you baring your teeth at multiple students while making aggressive vocalizations. Emma blinked. I was laughing at a joke with my friends? You displayed your teeth. That's called smiling. How do you guys... Oh my God, Emma put her head in her hands. This is insane. What else? What other completely normal stuff have I apparently been threatening people with? Azila scrolled through the incident reports, each one recontextualizing itself in real time. Day 3. Extended jaw while vocalizing loudly, interpreted as preparation for bite attack. I was yawning. Day 5. Rapid movement toward another student with arms extended. I was hugging my friend. Day 7. Consuming animal protein while maintaining direct eye contact with herbivorous species. Emma stared. I was eating a sandwich and making conversation. You know, like a person. The silence in the conference room was deafening. Kael'thas spoke first, his voice hollow. Every de-escalation protocol we have, every standard care procedure, triggers human defensive responses, Azila finished, because we designed them for species that didn't evolve being ambushed by apex predators. Emma looked around at their faces, the dawning horror, the complete incomprehension. She laughed again, but this time it sounded tired. So what happens now? Do I get expelled, arrested, sent back to Earth in disgrace? We need, Zilax said slowly, to completely reevaluate our understanding of human interaction protocols. Or, Emma suggested, you could just try asking before touching. Radical concept, I know. The Emergency Council Chamber was designed to host representatives from 70 species. Today, it felt claustrophobically small as Azila stood before the assembled leadership, her presentation hovering in holographic horror above the central dais. Every standard de-escalation technique we employ, she began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands, triggers human defensive responses. She gestured, and the holograms shifted. Approach from behind, elbow strike, unexpected physical contact, violent recoil, prolonged eye contact during confrontation, perceived threat challenge, calm, quiet tones during high-stress situations, registers as predatory stalking behavior. This is impossible, Ambassador Talana from the Centauri delegation interjected. These are universal calming protocols. They work across all civilized species. All civilized species that didn't evolve on death worlds, Azila corrected. Earth's evolutionary pressure selected for hypervigilance, rapid threat assessment, and immediate defensive action. What we interpret as care, humans interpret as danger. Council member Zilar's tentacles writhed in distress. How do we maintain order with a species that responds to our safety protocols with violence? We can't have students breaking staff members every time we try to help them. I didn't break him, Emma's voice carried from the doorway. I mean, I did, but I didn't mean to break him that badly, Zilax gestured her forward. Ms. Johnson, perhaps you can help us understand. Emma walked to the center of the chamber, and Azila noticed how every security officer unconsciously shifted their stance, maintaining distance. The human girl looked around at the gathered council, clearly still confused about the magnitude of the situation. Look, Emma said, I've apologized like 50 times already. Where I'm from, you don't put your hands on someone without permission. Period. End of story. I wasn't even trying to hurt him. That was just a reflexive elbow strike. Reflexive? The word erupted from multiple council members simultaneously. Emma blinked. Yeah? Like automatic? I didn't think about it. It just happened. That's what reflexes are. You're saying, Kael'thas said slowly, that breaking a security officer's facial structure was an involuntary biological response? I mean, when you put it like that, it sounds bad, but Emma shrugged. Yeah, basically. Someone grabs you from behind without warning. Your body reacts before your brain catches up. That's like Survival 101. Azila pulled up another screen. Emma, can you explain human childhood safety education? Sure, I guess. Emma looked confused by the question. We literally train children not to let adults grab them. It's called stranger danger. If someone you don't know tries to touch you or take you somewhere, you're supposed to yell, run, and fight back if you have to. The chamber erupted in alarmed chittering and whistling. You teach your offspring to attack adults? Someone demanded. We teach them to defend themselves against predators, Emma shot back. Because on Earth, some adults are predators. Child abduction is a thing. We have entire systems designed to teach kids how to escape if someone tries to grab them. Your children are trained for violence, Zilar said, his voice faint with shock. From infancy. We're trained for survival, Emma corrected, her tone sharpening. Do you know what my high school did every month? Active shooter drills. We practiced hiding in locked classrooms while someone pretended to be a gunman trying to get in. We learned which exits to use, how to run in zigzag patterns to avoid being shot, where to throw things if the shooter got into our room. The silence was absolute. Your educational facilities. Zilax's scales had gone completely gray. Prepare students for armed assault? Yep, Emma's laugh was bitter. First day of freshman year, they showed us the emergency exits and explained the lockdown procedure, right after they handed out our textbooks. Super normal, totally not traumatizing at all. This is madness, Talana whispered. You raise your young in a constant state of threat assessment. We raise our young to be realistic, Emma countered. Earth isn't some peaceful utopia where everyone holds hands and sings songs. We have predators, both animal and human. We have natural disasters, diseases, accidents. We teach kids to be aware, to be prepared, to protect themselves. Kael'thas had pulled up Earth's statistical data, his hands shaking as he read. Galactic average for youth mortality, 0.03%. Earth average, 0.8%. That's... He looked up, horrified. That's 267 times higher. Yeah, Earth's rough, Emma agreed. That's why we teach kids to fight back, run fast, and not trust strangers who grab them. because sometimes that's the difference between going home safe and ending up on a milk carton. A milk carton? Azila asked weakly. Old Earth thing, missing children's photos on drink containers so people would look for them. Emma said it casually, like she was describing the weather. Your world weaponizes its offspring, Vex'thul said, the words barely audible. Emma's eyes flashed. We prepare them for reality. Big difference. Would you rather we raise defenseless kids in a dangerous world? Because that's how you get dead children. We choose capable, cautious, survival-oriented kids instead. She looked around at their horrified faces and laughed, that same bewildered, slightly hysterical sound. You guys really thought you could just… What? Apply alien rules to humans and we'd just go along with it? Without understanding where we come from or how we think? She shook her head. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. 3 days later, Azila sat across from Emma in a smaller conference room, this one scaled appropriately for human proportions. Between them, a holographic display showed various interaction scenarios. Walk me through it, Azila said, stylus poised. How should we have handled the situation in the Commons? Emma leaned forward, her earlier defensiveness replaced by genuine engagement. Okay, so here's what you do. Use your words like a grown-up. Vex'thul sees me stretching, thinks it looks weird. Fine, whatever. He approaches from the front where I can see him coming. He says, Emma, please come with me. I'd like to discuss something with you. See? Easy? And if you refuse? Then he asks why I'm refusing, uses more words, explains the concern. At no point does he put his hands on me unless I'm literally attacking someone or about to hurt myself. Emma demonstrated with hand gestures. It's called verbal de-escalation. You talk first. Touch is the absolute last resort. But that requires more time. Yeah, and broken noses require surgery. Emma's tone was sharp, but not unkind. Pick your priority. The door chimed. Azila looked up to see Vex'thul standing in the entrance, his face wrapped in regenerative bandaging, one eye still swollen. Emma shot to her feet. Oh, shit! I'm sorry, I apologize for improper contact, Vex'thul said formally, his voice nasally from the bandages. I acted without understanding human cultural protocols. The fault was mine. Emma's face crumpled. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you that bad. Seriously, where I'm from, that was a warning shot. If I'd actually been trying to hurt you… She trailed off, looking miserable. You'd be in way worse shape. The silence that followed was heavy. A warning shot, Vex'thul repeated slowly. You're saying you exercised restraint? Yeah? Emma looked confused again. I didn't go for your throat, didn't follow through with a strike to the solar plexus, didn't attempt a takedown or ground control, just a quick elbow to create distance and shock. Standard self-defense response. Azila felt something click into place in her mind. Emma, how often do you restrain yourself here? Constantly? Emma laughed. Like every single day. Do you know how weird it is to move this slowly? To not track everyone's positions instinctively? To ignore the 1,000 tiny threat assessments my brain is doing every second? She gestured around the room. You think that was bad? I'm constantly dumbing down my reactions here. You guys have no idea how much control it takes to function in your society. Elaborate, Zilax's voice came through the comm system. The director had been observing the session remotely. Emma sighed. Okay, example. Yesterday in the cafeteria, someone dropped a tray behind me, loud crash, unexpected from my blind spot. You know what I wanted to do? Spin around, assess the threat, move to a defensive position. You know what I actually did? Flinched slightly and kept eating, because I knew it was just a dropped tray and freaking out would scare everyone. That's active suppression of survival instincts, Vex'thul observed, his voice awed. Every single day. Emma counted on her fingers. Don't track movement too obviously. Don't maintain tactical awareness too visibly. Don't react to sudden stimuli. Don't show teeth when happy. Don't make direct eye contact during disagreements. Don't. She looked at them. I'm basically playing a character called non-threatening human 24/7. It's exhausting. Vex'thul lowered himself carefully into a chair. I grabbed a predator from behind and wondered why I got hurt. You grabbed a person from behind, Emma corrected gently. I'm not a predator. I'm just human. And humans need personal space, verbal communication, and consent before physical contact. That's not a Deathworld thing. That's just respect. Azila began typing rapidly. New protocols. All student interactions require verbal first contact. Physical guidance only with explicit permission or in cases of immediate danger to self or others. Clear personal space boundaries. Minimum 1 meter for humans, adjustable by individual preference. No surprise physical contact under any circumstances. Add this, Emma said, warming to the topic. Approach from the front when possible. Announce your presence before entering someone's blind spot. Ask permission before touching, even in care situations. And maybe, I don't know, train your staff about different species communication styles? A cultural liaison program, Azila murmured. Emma, would you be willing to? Yes, Emma interrupted. Absolutely yes, and not just for humans. We're not the only ones from rough neighborhoods, I bet. How many other Deathworlders are out there who've been code-switching themselves into exhaustion to fit your protocols? Zilax's image appeared on the display. You're suggesting we revise our entire integration approach. I'm suggesting you learn about consent culture, Emma said, which, not to be rude, but it's pretty wild that I have to explain this. You guys have faster-than-light travel and you don't know about asking permission before touching people? The irony wasn't lost on anyone in the room. The most primitive species in the academy, fresh from a death world with horrifying mortality rates, was teaching advanced civilizations about basic respect and boundaries. The integration program? Vex'thul asked quietly. Saved, Silax said, by a 16-year-old human teaching us what we Katak should have known from the beginning. He looked at Emma through the display. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for your patience with us. Emma grinned, carefully, without showing too many teeth. No problem. Now can someone please tell everyone I'm not actually dangerous? Some of the other students are treating me like I'm gonna murder them. You broke someone's nose in 2.3 seconds, Vex'thul pointed out. Yeah, but I said I was sorry. The Academy's central auditorium had never been this full. Students from 63 species packed the tiered seating, their collective attention fixed on the stage where Director Zilax stood beside a holographic display reading Deathworlder Interaction Protocols, a new framework for universal consent culture. 2 weeks ago, Zilax began, we experienced our first Code Violet incident in Academy history. Today, we're implementing changes that will affect every educational institution in the Galactic Cooperative. Emma sat in the front row, trying not to squirm as hundreds of eyes and eye equivalents swiveled toward her. Vex'thul took the stage, his face fully healed thanks to advanced regenerative therapy. I am now the head instructor for our new Cultural Consent Frameworks course, which will be mandatory for all staff and optional for students. He gestured to Emma. My first teacher was Ms. Johnson here, though her teaching method was direct. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Today, she'll be explaining why I deserved what I got. Emma stood, walking to the podium with considerably more confidence than she'd had 2 weeks ago. Someone had made a holographic banner that read, Introduction to Not Getting Your Ass Kicked 101, and she couldn't help but grin. Okay, so, she started, and the auditorium fell silent. Quick question, how many of you have been grabbed, pulled, pushed, or otherwise physically handled without your permission since coming to the academy? Slowly, tentacles, appendages, and limbs rose throughout the crowd. Emma counted, over half. Right, And how many of you were actually okay with that? Most of the raised appendages lowered. That's what we're fixing. Emma pulled up an infographic. Humans have this wild concept called asking first. Revolutionary, I know. Before you touch someone, anyone, regardless of species, you use these amazing things called words. May I? Can I? Is it okay if? Seriously, that's it. That's the whole system. A Valtorian student raised a claw nervously. But humans are from a death world. Surely this is specific to species that weaponize everything. Emma chuckled. We don't think of it that way. We just adapt. It's what we do. But here's the thing. Everyone deserves to control who touches them. Deathworlder or not, predator or prey, big or small, your body is yours. That's not a human concept. That's just basic dignity. She clicked to the next slide. On Earth, we figured this out because we had to. When you're a species that can accidentally kill each other through misunderstandings, you learn to be really clear about intentions. But you know what? After 2 weeks of actually implementing this here, I've heard from like 20 different species saying they feel safer now. That they didn't realize how uncomfortable they were until the touching stopped. The auditorium was completely silent. Azila joined her on stage, datapad in hand. I've been compiling reports for the Galactic Education Board. We're recommending human protocols be adopted universally across all member institutions, not because humans need special treatment, but because apparently many species have had boundary issues that no one ever addressed before. You broke my face and changed civilization, Vex'thul added, stepping forward. Impressive efficiency. Emma laughed. That's us humans, accidentally revolutionizing society through minor assault. It's kind of our thing. We stumble into first contact situations, break a few noses, and suddenly everyone's reevaluating their entire social framework. Sorry about that. Don't be, Zilak said. The cooperative has existed for 12,000 cycles. It took one human teenager 3 weeks to identify a systemic problem we'd never even recognized. The assembly concluded with thunderous approval. Well, the species-appropriate equivalent thereof. As Emma made her way toward the exit, a Threxian student hurried after her, reaching out to tap her shoulder before catching themselves mid-motion. Emma, may I have your attention? Emma turned, grinning. See, you guys learned fast. Yeah, what's up? I wanted to thank you for speaking up, for making them listen. The student's translator carried genuine warmth. Many of us were uncomfortable but didn't know we could say anything. Hey, no problem. Everyone deserves to feel safe, right? Emma noticed a small group forming around them, students who'd been waiting to talk to her. Although, I gotta be honest, I'm starving and it's almost lunchtime. The Threxian glanced at the others, then back to Emma. May we join you? For a meal? Yeah, absolutely. Emma started walking, the group falling into step beside her. She was still adjusting to the Academy's gravitational standard, still constantly downshifting her reflexes and responses, still playing the character of non-threatening human. But now, at least, people asked before touching her. Progress. So anyway, you guys want to grab pizza? Emma asked as they entered the cafeteria. The Academy's version is pretty good, even if the cheese is technically fungus-based. I'm starving. Behind them, the auditorium emptied as staff began implementing new protocols that would ripple across 70 member worlds. Policy documents were being drafted, training programs redesigned, an entire civilization reconsidering its assumptions about personal autonomy and consent. And Emma Johnson, 16-year-old honor student from Earth who just wanted to study xenobiology, walked into lunch with her friends completely unaware that she'd just rewritten galactic social policy, which was, Azila thought as she watched from the administrative balcony, extremely typical of humans. They changed everything and then asked what was for dinner. Remarkable species, absolutely terrifying, but remarkable. End.